You could potentially be living a life that was once your dream, and yet you may not really have realized it. This is something that I've been thinking about in the past few days, reflecting on my own experiences because I had a conversation with my boyfriend the other day and I was saying to him, "Oh my goodness, I really wish we had a swimming pool because we are in the throes of summer here now and it's very hot." And the problem with the beaches at this time of the year is that they're really, really busy and you have to really wake up early or go kind of after 6 p.m. and, spend sunset there in order to have a slightly better experience. But my boyfriend just looked at me and was like, "Be happy with what you have." And it was like splashing my face with ice cold water. It was that kind of wake up call because he reminded me that where we live now with a garden is something that I had previously wished for. And now I've got the garden, I'm here wishing for a swimming pool. Isn't it funny how our brain works sometimes? It's like we are never satisfied with what we have, it's never enough. And it got me kind of taking it way back to when I first moved here to Italy. I sometimes get stressed about life here in Italy because at points there are often many things that confuse me or don't make any sense. And I sometimes forget that I am living a life that was once something I'd written down in a journal and had only dreamt about. And for the past 7 years, this is the life that I have built, created, and I'm living. I remember that when I was living in an apartment, because I spent really the best part of like 6 and a bit years living in apartments in Italy, dreaming of the day that I would have a garden. And now, as I'm approaching 7 years of living in Italy, I've got that. And it's just incredible how sometimes we forget that we are living the life that we once dreamed of. Because I really believe that society encourages us to constantly be thinking of what's next. What's the next thing to achieve? What's the next thing to own? What's the next thing to accomplish? But I really believe that it's important to have goals. It's important to have things that you're working towards. But it's also vital that you come at those from a place of appreciation of just what you currently have in your life. And you're not coming at it from a place of feeling like you don't have enough. I wanted this episode to be just a little reminder to myself, but also to you, of the importance of acknowledging just how far you've come. I recognize it myself, and I recognize how the life that I once scripted before I even moved here to Italy is now what I have created for myself and what I have expanded upon. Because I dreamt of having a job here in Italy that would enable me to really understand the culture better and to feel integrated into a community. Teaching English has been one of the best experiences for that because I learn so much from my students, from the things that they talk about and share and their experiences. And also, as a result, I get to meet so many different people from so many different walks of life here in Italy that I do feel very integrated into the culture here as a result. It's also meant that I've grown as a person, like in terms of expanding my communication skills, empathy, and all of the other skills that go into being a good teacher. I feel that I have been able to expand upon those and continuously improve myself. Not only that, but I wished when I first wanted to move to Italy that I would, have a lovely home, balcony, kind of all those typical dreamy Italian images that I'd held on to. And I've lived in some lovely homes and, apartments, the traditional balconies, the kinds of things that you expect from a home in South Italy. Yet I can honestly say where I live now is probably the best place I've lived in to date, purely because we have this garden space and it allows us to do so much more than we could when we lived in an apartment. I remember thinking that I wanted to kind of, I don't know, create something for myself here in Italy. And I remember I felt this especially during the pandemic. Like I really felt a bit lost leading up to that point because I didn't have my business anymore and because I was trying to find myself here in Italy really outside of having a job. And starting my brand and starting my YouTube channel and everything else that comes with it has given me that sense of purpose. And I absolutely love what I'm creating and building and the things that I'm learning as a result. I've definitely found myself again. And it's just incredible to sit here and think that, now I work from home. This is something that it, in a sense, did start thinking about in the past couple of years, when kind of lessons transitioned more into the online format for many schools. And I remember thinking, I would love to work from home for the freedom, for the fact that I get to create my own environment. And now it is a reality for me. And this is what I mean when I say sometimes you've just got to stop and you've got to reflect and you've got to think about just how far you've come. You know, every single experience is teaching you something, every single situation is helping you to become a better person, even if you cannot understand it in that moment. And so I'm recording this today to encourage you to do the same as me. Look back over your life, whether it's your entire life or whether it's a period of time, and think about the things that have happened to you. How many of those things were once dreams in your mind? How many of those things did you once imagine that you would have? And they are now in your current reality. Because I think when you do that, it really stops the comparison. It stops you looking outside of yourself at what other people are doing and pitting yourself against them. It stops all of that because you realize that you are on your journey and you are creating some amazing things all by yourself. And you actually don't need to be looking outside of yourself to recognize that. And in a way, as well, it helps you to feel good about the journey that you're on. There is so much negativity in the world, like toxic negativity. I'm not talking about natural human emotion negativity, where, some days you can have good days, some days you can have bad days. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people just being negative for negative sake. And I have to be honest with you, appreciation stops that. Looking back on your life and seeing what you've achieved, what you've overcome, the things that are currently in your life, it stops that kind of negative comparison and it stops those negative feelings that are damaging. They're not helping you in any way. You're not processing a natural emotion, you're processing something quite toxic. It eliminates all of those feelings. And so this is what I've been reflecting on in the past few days. How much of my life that I once dreamed about is now my current reality, and how I don't necessarily need to keep thinking, okay, what's next? What's next? Sometimes I need to appreciate what I have here first before I then decide what I would like next. Because in that space, you are more likely to not only achieve what it is that you want, but also feel good about it in the process. I will see you in the next episode.